Monster Melee! Storm Giant versus Young Red Dragon! When a mighty red dragon gets trapped by a storm giant, can it bite and claw and burn its way to freedom? Welcome to Monster Melee, everyone, where D&D creatures get pitted against one another. I am your commentator and game master, Esper. I'm glad to have you here. In today's matchup, we are looking at the storm giant versus a young red dragon. For today's battle arena, we have the Shivering Strand Cave. This is a more recent one from my Patreon page. That's Esper the Bard on patreon.com. Go check that out. You can get all kinds of great RPG content, including this map, and support the channel. So let's take a look at today's competitors. First up here, we have the Storm Giant. This is a huge giant with a chaotic good alignment. Challenge rating of 13. Armor class 16, hit points 230, has a 50-foot land speed and a 50-foot swim speed. For strengths, he has a good amount of hit points. He's fast on land and in water. Extremely high strength score of 29. That's almost the highest that we've seen in 5th edition. Also has a high constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. He has good saving throws, except for dexterity and intelligence. Extremely high athletics, has expertise in athletics, in fact. Is resistant to cold damage, immune to lightning and thunder damage, is amphibious, so can breathe air or water, has some innate spells that are pretty cool. Things like Detect Magic, Levitate, Feather Fall, Control Weather. I don't know how much the spells are going to come into play in this encounter, but in the broader scope of things, those are pretty helpful utility spells. And in general, this is just a very powerful monster to fight. He's very, very strong in melee with these two huge-sized greatsword attacks, and at a range can throw rocks that are decent, not as good as the sword, but decent, and then has this lightning strike ability that does a bunch of lightning damage and is on a recharge of 5 or 6. Then moving over to the Young Red Dragon, a large dragon with a chaotic evil alignment. Challenge rating is 10, so a bit less than the Storm Giant in this case. Has an AC of 18, 178 hit points, has a speed of 40 feet on land, 40 feet climbing, and 80 feet flying. So for strengths, the red dragon here has a good armor class, good land and climb speeds, and then flying is very fast. It has a high strength, constitution, and charisma, has good con and charisma saves, high perception, I believe, with expertise there, a blind sight out to 30 feet, immune to fire damage, very powerful in melee, a devastating breath weapon, a blast of fire that does like 16d6 of fire. Dragons of the young or older age categories do have the option of innate spellcasting. I'm always a big fan of that, so I'm giving him Absorb Elements, Fireball, Heat Metal, and Suggestion once per day each. We'll see if those come into play. In terms of weaknesses, dragons don't really have any ranged attacks. Yeah, he can do a fireball once per day. He can do his breath that recharges on a 5 through 6, which is a cone, but those really aren't making ranged attacks. He doesn't have something like a longbow where he can shoot arrows every turn, or the firebolt cantrip. Really just doesn't have a steady ranged attack roll. Also, I'd say the intelligence saving throw on the red dragon is mediocre. Speaking of dragons, have you ever wanted to play a dragon as a player character? And I don't mean a dragonborn, which it really is just a humanoid with a little puff of draconic power. Not a half dragon, I mean a full-on dragon. If so, make sure to check out my new 5e book, Monstrous Heroes. It's now available in beautiful hardcover and PDF. There are an unbelievable 17 full monster classes in there, including the dragon. As you level up, you grow in your draconic powers, and you select from various options in order to customize your dragon character. There's also a horde and layer mechanic, which provides you extra perks the more treasure you collect and amass in your horde. Or if you're a game master, you can use this book to make some more unique and in-depth dragons, or ogres, or trolls, or vampires, or whichever of the many monstrous race classes you desire. The link to go get your copy is down in the video description, so go check that out. Monstrous Heroes is a 5e book in a league all its own. It will add a whole new dimension to your campaigns. So let's get into the battle now. How can a giant really stand a chance of taking down a dragon? Well, it's really hard to do so out in the open where the dragon can fly around so fast. Giants usually are pretty good at throwing rocks, and they do a decent amount of damage, but it's not the full extent of a giant's power. Really, the giant's power can fully be unleashed in melee when they use their multi-attack with their huge weapons. It's also generally not a great idea to go into the dragon's lair, where there's all kinds of lair effects, like the red dragon might have pools of lava that you'd have to wade through, getting burned to death while you do so, or like burning smoke or crackling fires constantly burning, and maybe guardians in its lair, and it might have lair actions. It's just very, very hazardous and perilous. So today the Storm Giant has been hunting this dragon, has lured him into this cave here in the Shivering Strand of Magnaland, and has sealed him in here with a collapse of rocks. So that would take a bit of time to clear through that. So let's see how the dragon does against the giant. I think the main hope for the dragon is that it gets a really good breath attack. The giant fails its dex save, and then the dragon recharges the breath on a later round and gets to use it again. It can really devastate the giant with that fire breath if fortune favors him. If it doesn't, and the giant just gets to wail on him in melee with that great sword, that could be the demise of this dragon. So it's really anybody's game here. If I had to bet on it, I'd probably put my bet on the giant just because of the hit point advantage, but I could see it going either way. Let's roll initiative and get this kicked off. The giant has won the initiative roll, so let's see how this goes. We're starting off 60 feet apart, as I typically do in these arena-style fights. The giant can go 50 feet, should have a range of 10 foot, or a reach of 10 foot rather, with that great sword. Indeed he does, and let's do this. First attack roll comes up with a 24, that'll be a hit, and the second attack roll is a nat 6, coming to a 20, still will be a hit. The giant has an amazing plus 14 attack. That's 9 from the strength, 5 from the proficiency bonus. It's just an incredible powerhouse in melee. We're going to do 2 rolls of this great sword, each one dealing 66 plus 9 damage. There is a total of 71 damage to the dragon. Ugh, a huge chunk taken out just like that. Oh, this fight might go fast. I will make armor out of your hide. The dragon unleashes a tremendous belch of flame, dealing a massive 56 damage. The giant is going to make a dexterity saving throw. It's a DC of 17, and he's only, nat 1 isn't going to do it anyways. I was going to say he only has a +2 to a dex save. All right, so that's a pretty decent amount of damage to the giant, but as you can see, its hit point total is just so massive. Is it worth it for the dragon to take an opportunity attack and fly away? Well, this giant is so big, and its great sword is so big, and its reach is so high. I don't think the dragon can really get out of its reach high enough, but it can fly pretty fast, and maybe it can just take one opportunity attack and then make it to where the giant won't be able to move and multi-attack it on his next turn. That seems to be the best tactic. Let's do that. The dragon flaps its wings, has enough room to fly across the cave, just not really to get up very high. All right, pass to the storm giant, so it's not going to be able to get within range to do a multi-attack. So it has to move and either throw a boulder or do a lightning strike or a dash. Feel the might of the storm! The giant calls forth a blast of intense lightning that is 34 lightning damage. The dragon makes a dexterity saving throw against DC 17. It's got a +4. That is a success. It only takes 17 damage there. The dragon makes an evasive maneuver in the air of the cave and avoids the worst of the lightning. And we go to the dragon's turn. Let's do a recharge roll. Unfortunately, didn't get the recharge on the breath attack. Heat metal is pretty cool. The giant is wearing scale mail. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's only 2d8, not a lot for a massive giant, but it does impose disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks because the target is being burned and they're in such discomfort and pain. Alternatively, the dragon could target the giant's sword, and if the giant fails a constitution saving throw, it has no choice but to drop the red hot sword. But the giant's constitution save is just so high, the dragon would know this thing is so... The thing has such a grand fortitude that doesn't seem as likely. And the giant's scale mail begins burning red hot. And that's 2 d8s of damage immediately to the giant. Not going to be a lot, just 9, but we'll see if that disadvantage turns out to be a game changer. And the dragon flies over there, looks about. It had come into this cave seeking treasure. It had gotten tricked into seeking out some treasure to add to its hoard that would be supposedly found in this cave, but that was a ruse by the chaotic good giant. All right, move to the giant's turn. Let's do a recharge roll for the lightning strike. 4 isn't going to do it, and the giant can move to not close enough. Move to there, and what do we do? Throw a rock or dash? Dash is the way to go. That way he could get off an opportunity attack, and even one hit from that great sword's a pretty decent chunk of damage. All right, on to the red dragon's turn. It uses a bonus action to sustain its heat metal. That deals the damage once again when it does that. Only 4. Whoop-de-doo. That's peanuts to a storm giant. But again, that disadvantage on attacks could be crucial. At this point, the dragon could dash, taking an op attack. It could disengage a move, taking no op attack. Just kind of play it out, hoping to get the recharge on that fire breath. It could multi-attack. It's got a bite and claw. That's pretty good. If it flew to there, could the giant get to it and hit? Yeah, I think it could because it's got that reach. Unfortunately, it really looks like dash is the best option here. He'll take the 1 op attack, but the giant has disadvantage. All right, so here we go. The giant swings his mighty sword, grimacing and wincing in pain. But still he hits with a 24. The giant's attack is just so high that even with disadvantage, its chances of hitting are quite good. There's 30 damage to the red dragon. It goes down to only 60 hit points. That is not looking good. But it does get to fly an amazing 160 feet.
Run while you can, winged lizard!
Onto the storm giant's turn. Let's do a recharge check on the lightning blast. Doesn't get it. He goes stomping. Dash could get him to there. Oh my. Why don't we try a rock throw? Or he could actually take cover here and force the dragon to come after him. Let's try that. The giant will take cover there, so we'll say that's just one move, and then he will dodge. Dodge also would give him advantage on a dexterity saving throw against the fire blast. The dragon does not recharge the breath weapon, but little does the giant know, this dragon has a fireball in store for him. So dragon will go to there and cast a fireball. That's going to be 8d6 of fire damage. Whoosh! Actually, let me make sure the dragon's in range. Fireballs. Okay, yeah, plenty of range. 34 damage, and the giant makes a dex save. It's only got, like, I think a +2. Well, when you roll a nat 17, you save against almost anything. A mere 17 damage to the storm giant. The giant did have advantage on that dex save due to dodge, by the way. I know I just rolled a 1d20, but it already succeeded, so no need to roll another one. What else? The dragon can roll the damage on the heat metal. So it sustains that, deals another 11 damage.
Mia singes, little fire lizard!
And we go to the storm giant's turn. Let's do the recharge check. Does not succeed on the recharge roll for the lightning blast. These two have not succeeded on one single recharge yet. He'll stomp over here as close as he can get. And really, I think dash is the best bet. So he'll come there within the melee reach of the dragon and his mighty greatsword. Go to the dragon's turn, really hoping for that fire breath to come back. There we go. Nat 6 gets his breath weapon back, unleashes the firestorm. 63 fire damage. All right. Storm Giant fails that, takes all 63. He's down to 70 hit points, so actually they're about neck and neck in terms of their current hit points. Things are perhaps turning around. What else? The red dragon will use his bonus action to sustain the heat metal, dealing another 11 damage. So now the Storm Giant actually has one less hit point than the dragon, and we go to the Storm Giant's turn. Check on that lightning blast. He also recharges. I guess they both listened to my gripe. I forgot something. What did I forget? I forgot the movement speed of the red dragon. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just go back a tick. Nothing changes. Haven't actually done the giant's turn yet. Yeah. So it's going to fly this way. It's going to take the one op attack just so it's not going to be there for the multi-attack of the giant. Here's the giant's attack with disadvantage. There's a nat 1 in there. Ah! The giant grimaces, misses. His sword blade hits against the wall of the cave. Sparks fly off. The storm giant roars. His confidence is starting to get a bit shaken.
I will not go down to the likes of you.
Not even an adult dragon, but red dragons are just so powerful. What does he do? Does he do the lightning strike or a dash to get within the melee range? He goes with the lightning. The blast is pretty tremendous. There's 41 lightning damage, and the dragon makes a dex save, has a +4 against a DC 17. 9 total is going to be a failure. All right, the dragon is down to just 19 hit points. Really, any hit from this giant is probably going to take it down. We go to the dragon's turn, hoping for that recharge on the breath weapon. He recharges it. Oh my. He turns his head. Hellish flames roast the giant. There is 55. Okay, if the giant fails this dex save, and the dragon rolls pretty good on the heat metal damage, the giant could be going down. Here we are. Dex save. Giant's got a +2. Nat 16. It is +2, right? All right, I'm just double checking everything because this is important. It is. So he's got a total of 18. That saves. So he only takes, what is that, to make 27 damage. All right, he's at 32. And here comes the heat metal from the dragon. There's another 12. The giant is at 20, so really the next one that deals any of their damage to the other is going to be the victor. The dragon would like to go up into the sandy chamber, but if we look at the size of this, he really can't fly in there. There's just not the wingspan area. He could go over that way, but then he's just still out in the open for a thrown rock or maybe even a lightning blast. Can he get around this bit? Oh, he just doesn't have quite enough speed to get around that ledge. All right, so here's what I'll give the dragon. I'm going to allow him a DC 15 acrobatics check. If he succeeds, he will pull off his sort of flying acrobatic stunt to get himself like at just the right curvature, the right angle to swoop into there. Not even sure if this is going to really fully be able to save him from a ranged attack. It's a heat of the moment, so he's just doing his best. All right, here we go. Dragon acrobatics check. This is dex acrobatics of 10. What does he have, a +2? Nope, just a 10 dex. So +0, doesn't succeed, kind of bangs a bit against the wall. Sort of a messy landing here into the sand. And there is where he remains. We go on to round 7. The storm giant. Speed will take him to there. Die! He is getting ragged at his wit's end. The lightning blast doesn't recharge, so it's really down to a rock throw. The giant hefts a boulder. He has disadvantage on the attack due to his armor just cooking him alive. And a nat 5. Oh, but it's still a 19. He's got a +4. That's a strength attack. He hits. Oh, I think the rock might crush the dragon here. So I just remembered something. I gave the dragon a once per day absorb elements as a innate spell. This is something that happens a lot with GMs. There's so much going on, and it's kind of complex that you forget things that would have happened. Obviously, the dragon would have used the absorbed elements previously. So what do? Do you just give it to him and say, okay, we'll go back to that last lightning damage you took, and we'll take half off of that. I'll give you those hit points back. A lot of the times I would do that, whether that's for a character or a monster. I try to be generous to both. Now, a player might argue it's the heat of the moment. It slipped its mind. He took a blow to the head. He lost his focus. So, if there's a good argument on both sides, I do what I like to call the D20 of fate. So the player, or in this case the monster, gets to choose even or odd. I rolled the D20 of fate, and if the result is what the person selected, they get to do their thing. So in this case, let's say the dragon is going to choose even. If I roll even on the D20, we'll say, yes, he did actually remember that absorb elements. Obviously, clearly he would have remembered to do that. And if it's odd, then yeah, he took a head blow, he flinched, he didn't remember. It's the frantic heat of the moment of battle. And sorry. All right, it is even. So let's go back to that last lightning blast. So it was 41 lightning damage. So we'll give him half of that back. That's 20 hit points back. So the red dragon is actually at 39. Again, I try to be generous as a DM. No one likes playing with a control freak tyrant DM. That just kind of spoils the fun. This is a complex game, so it is good to have some courtesy with one another. All right, so the giant's rock has hit. Let's see how much damage this does. 31 damage. Does the dragon survive that? Yes, at 8 hit points. So this might be the dragon's win, saved by the absorb elements. We go to the dragon's turn. Let's check that recharge. This could be sweet if he wins. He does, and he wins it with a fire breath. He just unleashes roasting hell. The storm giant falls, crackling, charred, roasted.
You lured me under a false premise of treasure to this cave. Well, now I have claimed my treasure.
And the dragon seizes upon the storm giant with its talons. That has become the new addition to his horde, a storm giant skull and greatsword. Woo, that was a great one. I really enjoyed that. That was quite a clash. A lot of adrenaline there. Hope you enjoyed it as well. Leave me a comment on a different Monster Melee matchup that you would like to see. I also have some rematches that are going to be coming out in the very near future. Thank you as always for watching, everyone. Go check out Monstrous Heroes, and I'll see you in the next one. May your adventures be many!